Welcome back, everybody, to the VGVN Max Randoms Release Tournament number 2. We want to remind people that there's a cool giveaway going on, and we'll be talking about it throughout the rest of the day. But we also want to let you guys know about the next open tournament that'll be for VGN number 3. That's right, they're already in the middle of planning the third tournament in the series. The qualifier for the open bracket will start 1 week from today for both Europe and North America. All the information is at liquidheart.com, where you can find out the big thing on the front page that says Liquid Heart Open VGVN number 3 qualifiers. Click on it and find a way for sign up in your respective region, so maybe you can be the one playing against Colento and whoever wins this next series, Hyped versus Trump. Nibs, it's going to come down to second semifinals. Both of these guys have a lot to prove, not just because of what's been said before, but also because they're so much closer to getting that invite back. It feels like semifinals to finals is a big wall, because if you don't, you have to go through the open or be invited back. Otherwise, Hyped and Colento gets a seat to next tournament.
Oh, yeah, I think like both of those guys are actually hungry for the win. Hyped really needs his first major tournament win to legitimize himself. And Trump is fighting for those wins. All those tournaments in the past, he's always getting close, getting to top 3, top 4, getting short of the tournament win. So I'm sure that both the players are really motivated to actually advance and win versus Colento. Or if not, to actually get the invite spot for the third edition of this tournament. Both of the players are cool deck builders. Trump is running a lot of custom cards, a lot of his own decisions, and he's not afraid to bring cards like a Hungry Crab to the fold. Hyped, on the other hand, a splendid deck builder, his own builds. Like we've seen his mage yesterday, and I was amazed how he played the mage and how the mage actually worked. And I was talking to Monk at some point, and Hyped, apparently Hyped, we used his mage to climb to the second place on the NA Legend ladder with that mage, just farming priests and warriors. So
pretty sick.
Yeah, it's a cool story, and now he is able to actually use this mage against Trump. So I don't know who will win. By the way, those players actually are bringing another class to the best of 7 format. So maybe we can jump to the bans and picks screen and see what the players actually banned and what they brought. What is new?
All right, well, it seems like Hunter has been unanimously banned for the top 4 here, and Hype's extra deck he's bringing is a Druid deck, and Trump seems to be bringing Shaman as his deck of choice for today. And I think those are 2 solid classes, just because if it seems like Hype's going to bring Token Druid, I feel like it will be. It's a good mixture to the kind of control-ish deck that he's bringing lineup-wise. And then Trump has Shaman, which seems to be just overall very good. We just saw Colento able to win 3 games with his Shaman deck.
Certainly, and this Shaman build is again a very stable minion-based Shaman. So we are not seeing the crazy combos with Baron Rivender and Reincarnate. Here, stability is everything. You want to have good draws. There are no specific combos. A standard build with 1 mana Totem with the sticky minions. There's no Doomhammer, but it's fine because there's Alak here. And Doomhammer is a pretty crazy card with this control metagame and Harrison Jones being played. Doomhammer is super risky. So I commend Trump on not bringing Doomhammer. And other than that, the Shaman is pretty standard, a pretty good, solid build. On the other hand, Hyped Miracle Rogue, we discussed it yesterday. And by the way, guys, if you want to see the games we're referencing from yesterday and 2 days ago, just type !YouTube and you'll be able to see the link to the YouTube that all the VODs are being posted. And even as we speak right now, the VODs are being processed. So I'm sure that after the tournament, you'll be able to watch the games that you actually missed.
All right, game 1 is about to begin. Hyped looks like to be a favorite on paper in this matchup, specifically Rogue versus Shaman. But we saw in Colento's game versus Tice, if the Miracle Rogue doesn't get the good draws and they don't have things like the coin or gadgets in, it can be a little tricky. But Hyped, I think all tournament long, one thing that's also been kind of a running joke is when he plays Miracle, he's never on the coin.
Yeah,
seems like a thing
that
just always happens for him.
So no coin for Hyped and no gadgets in. It can get tricky, but Hyped didn't start with gadgets in a couple of times, but he was able to draw it somewhere in the middle of the game and turn around the games that seemed lost. So maybe this time he will also get that gadgets on at some point and be able to advance. His cards are not that bad. He has a Nomish Inventor, he has a shift, so he has some drawing potential. Maybe he will actually grab that gadgets on.
All right. Well, it seems like Hype does have minions to play, so it's not the worst possible start where you only have spells and no gadgets in. At least he's got ways to impact the board a little bit and force Shaman to do more than just build up the board, totem up, and pressure.
On the other side, Trump has to pressure Hyped. He has to deal as much damage as possible, also dealing with the minions that Hype will be playing. So Trump will certainly hope that there is no gadgets on, but even without the gadgets on, the free minion is still dangerous. So Trump will have to just deal with the board and deal as much damage as possible before the gadget on is being dropped. And after the gadgets on, he will have to do the last push. He will have like one or maybe 3 turns to be able to seal the game, but it will get dangerous. So right now, well, he actually decides to draw cards instead of just well, draw cards and clear, which is fine. The next turn he will have Gnomish Inventor, and he will be able to start developing the board from there.
Yeah, Manatide Totem is actually one of the best cards against Miracle Rogue because, again, you force out removal, and you're also paying for yourself. And the worst case scenario for the Miracle Rogue is that they can't deal with it, like in this, like what just happened. And now you're able to pick up a couple cards. It's a target for Defender of Argus. Unfortunately, Trump has overloaded, but Manatide already has served a nuisance enough that Hyped is going to be a little bit farther behind. But it seems like as long as Hype picks up Gadget's Hand, his hand is still looking pretty decent. He's got ways to draw and remove. So I don't think Hype's in a bad spot just yet.
Here a good decision by Trump to actually clear the board, to be able to secure the mana Totem. Next turn he will be overloaded for 1, but he will still be able to play Gnomish Inventor. So if he gets a Fire Elemental for turn 6, he won't be overloaded then, and he will be able to play it. Hyped actually got the Blade Flurry 2 turns ago, but he doesn't have the Deadly Poison, which is the key cards to be comboed with the Blade Flurry. He picks up Falnos, so this might be important, because then Blade Flurry will be able to deal 2 points of damage instead of just 1.
Definitely agree here. Now Trump has to go for a little bit of a more passive play and go for more cards with Gnomish Inventor, a solid body. But this gives Hyped a little breathing room. If he picks up Gadget's Hand in the next couple of turns, he's still sitting at a very comfortable life total. Trump also has very reactive cards. He's got Hex and Earth Shocks, Defender of Argus on a board, but there's no guarantee in the next coming turns, if he'll even have a board, to get full value off of this card.
Well, this is pretty good for Hype, because he can play Falnos, he can backstab the 2/4, attack into it with a weapon, kill the totem, even weapon up after that. To just clear the board on or even play Farseer. So he has a lot of options to just clear and develop his board. And even if you don't have the gadgets on, well, if you don't have the gadgets on, your second strategy is to just develop your board and be able to push with damage. Right now, Hype is in a really good position to develop his board and try to threaten Trump with what he has. And obviously we mentioned it also before, that Shaman is all about board control, all about board position. Trump has no minis in board. How is it about board control, Froden? What do you think is going on here?
Well, there is a case to kind of make that you want to have the weapons. So one, you're not overextending into Lightning Storm. He won't be able to get the full damage value off of Fire Elemental. But you are using more mana, and next turn, if you want to drop Farseer and say you do draw Gadget's Hand, you have to use a little extra. You have to use the same amount of mana anyways for Deadly Poison. So I think Hyped says, well, you know, if he's dropping a minion, I might as well have more board development, like you said.
What do you think about Airshock into a 3/2 instead of 1/1? To just sacrifice a bit of your board position, but deny this draw?
He has Earthshock #2, so it's okay, but this is where it really hurts. Hype didn't have to use Eviscerate whatsoever to get rid of it, and now he can just use a Shiv very effectively and then trade his Thalnos in to cash in before the Earthshock. So it didn't pay off for Trump. It was a little bit of a greedier play, I would say, because he didn't want to take as much damage or lose his Azure Drake very easily. But in the end, it seems like Hype got that extra draw, which could be that much closer to Gadget's Hand. If he was drawing Shadow Step next turn, that's a whiff. But if he draws a really important card, who knows?
Well, Hype didn't get a sap. He didn't get a Gadget's Hand. So right now he'll have to decide what to do. But on the other hand, Trump is in a pretty bad position because he is missing the Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm would be a key last turn. Right now, he's forced to just play almost one card each turn. So it's not something that Shaman wants to do. You want to have as many minions as possible for those buffs to work, and Hyped is just pushing with damage, and Trump is already at 17.
He has
So
23 damage this turn, which is insane to think about. But the spell power really does add up. Wow, he's going to conceal because he recognizes he has an opportunity to maybe end the game right here. And then Blade Flurry can most likely kill off any kind of taunts that get in his way.
this is a sick read because the previous board that he had was so open to Lightning Storm. And because the Lightning Storm never came, there was a weird play of the Earthshock and Azure Drake. It was a clear signal that, hey, Lightning Storm is not in my opponent's hand, so I will better just conceal my minions to be able to finish the game next turn.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to just recognize the situation and go for it. He does have 11 damage in hand, even if this Azure Drake dies off, which it doesn't look like it will. Trump has to set up a defensive line, but all he can do is set up a Defender of Argus play.
I also like that Hype didn't use Eviscerates, because you can still use Eviscerates this turn, and without using them, your opponent is not aware how much life he has left. Because with those Eviscerates are 10 points of damage, so basically Trump has only 7 points. Oh, a sub pickup is so important here.
Is that game? I think it is.
I think that's
if you
game.
Just sap and eviscerate twice and attack with your minions. That should be it. And Hyped jumps out to a 1-0 lead. Unless we're miscounting again.
No, there's no way. I'm for sure that's lethal.
Okay. Okay, now it's only about if Hyped somehow messes us up, but I don't think he will because he's played thousands of games with Miracle Rogue, and he's very well versed in all of its ability to end the game here. Trump drops this game. We kind of expected Shaman to be at a disadvantage, and this is the potency of what Miracle Rogue can do, and why, by the way, Blade Flurry is such an important card in this matchup sometimes.
I feel like Trump actually got unlucky. He didn't have an explosive start. He had to play Mana Totem on turn 3, which doesn't do much. He got a couple of more cards, but he wasn't able to push with damage. Then he didn't get that Lightning Storm in a key moment where he would be able to clear and snatch the board position. So with those like cards that didn't really work together, he was pushed behind and he just lost there to a good, kind of like a good draw from Hyped. Even without the gadgets, and he was able to just position himself with those mid game minions that that Miracle Rogue is running.
That's a good point. And now he's going to turn to Zoo in order to take out Miracle Rogue. This is an interesting choice considering, well, I guess it makes sense. You look at his other decks, Warrior and Priest, maybe they don't fare as well against Miracle Rogue. Zoo feels like one of those decks where if Miracle Rogue gets the coin, they get Fan of Knives and backstab SI7 Agent, then you really can't do anything to them, especially if they get Gadgets Hands and draws. But there are a couple of cards that Trump can get early, like Doomguard, which gives Miracle a hell of a time. And maybe that can be his way to be able to punish a Miracle Rogue that starts off slow.
Well, if Miracle Rogue doesn't draw into his removal cards, like Flurry and Fan of Knives, or even SI7 and Backstab, sometimes being a Miracle Rogue, you have more of a late game or a mid game draws, cards that don't really clear the board, and you're being easily pushed. Like you are forced to play Farseer and heal yourself. Then Trump will be able to snatch the board position with those sticky minions, with a lot of minions that he has. So I think I would give an edge to Hyped, but definitely Trump played this deck a lot of times, and he was also playing this deck in many other tournaments. So he is skilled. He proved consistently that he is winning with this Zoo, and he knows how to play it. He knows how to sequence the cards and the plays. So he is a contender here. So even though Hyped has an edge, I would be really interested to see how this game unfolds.
By the way, I like that Hyped specifically typed in Custom Rouge instead of Rogue, a common mistype, or typo rather, that a lot of people make in Hearthstone community. Game number 2 is about to begin, and Hyped is trying to jump out to a 2-0 lead. In fact, if he can get over the Zoo, he might be in a position to 4-0 because the rest of the decks that Trump's bring also have a hard time against Miracle Rogue.
All right, and Trump actually doesn't have a coin, but he has a good start with a Zombie Chow, Haunted Creeper, and Knife Juggler. So he has the curve, which is, well, even though it's a Zoo deck, it's still important to have a curve. Sometimes you just miss the one drop. On the other hand, Hyped has Farseer, which is a good card. Hype doesn't know. I'm not sure if Hype can be actually sure what kind of Warlock he's facing. Does Hype know if it's Zoo or Handlock?
Well, Trump is primarily a Zoo player whenever he's brought Warlock to a tournament, and that also makes it a little confusing of why he wants to pick up Backstab. And if Hype is trying to play very conservative and just like make sure to have a mutual agreement that Gadget Sand's the best card that he wants against both, then he might go for it. But I don't know, like it might be a little too optimistic to feel like I have time, because if Zoo gets off to a really good start, you might not have time to play Gadget Sand. You might not have enough health to be able to pull back into the game.
Yeah, I feel like one of the key cards in this matchup being Morelco Rogue is actually SA7. Backstab is also pretty helpful, but SA7 is the card that actually turns the game around, especially if you have a coin.
But there is something to be said that Hyped also has played so many games versus Zoo because it is one of the most popular ladder decks. And he also sees Zombie Chow. It's a card that surprisingly extends the life of many players because you aren't able to get its opposite synergy with something like Akanai Soul Priest in Zoo. So effectively, Hyped just used Backstab and he's back at full health and only loses a weapon charge. And that might give a little bit more longevity to the game than Trump would like.
Oh yeah, certainly. Especially because right now Trump only deals 1 point of damage. This is already turn 3. So it seems like a slow start, but on turn 4 he will be able to play Juggler and Direwolf Alpha, and those minions are so sticky, so they will probably remain here. Also, this Farseer is going down for sure with the Direwolf Alpha being played. Now the question is...
Oh, Defender of Argus draw is so nasty.
This is even better. This is a sick draw. Now he is able to kill Farseer without even losing Harvest Golem.
Yep, and now all of a sudden these 1 damage spells like Shiv are... They only kill half the iteration. There's still a 2-1 remaining. Oh, and Hype does pick up Sap though, and that card is not really that effective against Zoo, but if you can use it to remove buffs, or take away really expensive creatures like Dark Iron Dwarf or Harvest Golem, it does have its place. And he is also taking pretty minimal amounts of damage, and he's coming up on turns where he can use Gadget Sand. So he's still stabilizing enough. Trump's been taking a very slow, methodical approach. That way he has a very sticky board. But cards that put out a lot of damage, like Knife Juggler and Direwolf Alpha, have been sitting in his hand for a while. And that could be a reason why Trump can't necessarily win the game as the turns continue to progress.
Well, on the other hand, Hype doesn't have the AoE clear, so... even if he plays... Like, playing Gadgets on next turn doesn't make any sense, because he won't be able to draw that many cards. And there is also always a threat of a Soulfire. So Trump will just continue to develop his board and try to push as much damage as possible. The question is Hype being able to deal with that board effectively?
Well, he has cards to stall until then. And, you know, the coin also gives him another draw. Meanwhile, Trump picks up Nerubian Egg, and he's back at he's still asking the same question as he did in the very beginning of the game. Do you go for more of a development where that way you're resilient against the cards that Miracle can push out, or are you going to go for more of an aggressive approach?
Well, it seems that he's trying to protect himself from the AoEs, so that the
Oh,
Nerubian Egg
man.
conceal
off the top for Hyped.
Yeah, this is huge. This is exactly what he wanted. And the backstab, oh my god, this is so good for Hype. Backstab is the perfect card.
That is pretty devastating, and Trump loses a lot of power on board, half of his damage. And this is what he was afraid of.
This is the exact situation you don't want to find yourself in being the Zoo. You were able to deal only 6 points of damage. Your board is really not that significant. You have no way to kill that Gadget Sand, and you know that next turn you will get a lot of damage. Basically, next turn, your board can actually get cleared, and you can't do anything about it, and you are going to also get some points of damage in the process. Your opponent will actually go through his whole deck, set up a win in the next 2 turns.
All right, you know, and even if he goes for 3 juggles, it's still going to be very close because he can't kill off this Gadget Sand, and he's not even doing damage straight to the face.
I think I will actually go for the Haunted Creeper. Yeah, this board is going to be cleared. I will definitely expect...
Wow, 3 juggles to Gadget Sand.
So close.
And Hyped ends up gaining 3 life because of it. And he also has Fan of Knives.
Yeah, this
Actually,
board
something that
is
is annoying though is the Ajisan can't kill off a minion and then play a spell.
true, and he is missing preparations, but
Many
still
options.
has a lot of good cards in here.
Right? Double SI7 agent, a very valuable card to have. If Hype was able to pick up preparation though, this board would be history. Or specifically, this board would be toast.
Can he play? I think he has to play Cold Blood. Wait.
Well, he has to make a choice. Shiv ends up giving him a lot of cards. He could feel like he's not under threat. The the Gadget Sand could trade. Oh my goodness. You can also Shadow Step his Gadget Sand too. Shadow Step's also really powerful with SI7 agent in this matchup.
Choose soon.
Certainly, it's a Shadow Step is a card in this matchup to actually get board control and put yourself in a good position. Not necessarily just keep it and for the Leroy play.
Oh, he picks up preparation. He needs to kind of go quickly though.
Here. Almost roped.
No, he doesn't end up using preparation. It looks like he's going to keep prep to have a massive Van Cleef, which is also another way to win in this matchup. Trump, by the way, picks up Soulfire, so a way to add in damage. And finally, he's starting to rack it in, the aggression, because he needs to just go all in. He still hasn't drawn Doom Guards.
I like the Soulfire play because if he gets a Doom Guard, he won't lose that Soulfire. He puts Hyped on 10 points of health, which is an amount that's really deadly. You have a full board, your opponent is almost dead. So now, if he gets a second Soulfire, or if he gets his first Doom Guard, he's in a position to just play it and deal even more damage.
Gosh. Hype's also very cautious to make sure not to activate his Nerubian Egg. He picks up a second Fan of Knives, so that way he can be able to minimize the damage. And Trump's board has gone kapoof. A 10-10 Van Cleef has appeared, and I don't know if Trump's running Iron Beak Owl.
He might not, and double Voidwalker is not something he wanted.
Well, actually, it's doesn't it provide big enough wall that Van Cleef can't get through necessarily?
Well, not really, because he Hype should be able to actually remove it pretty easily.
Yeah, he does have Deadly Poison and SI7 agents.
And Shadow Step.
That is one way that Van Cleef can be pretty ineffective. Second preparation is actually good for Hype, because now he can put out double SI7 agent. Everything is lining up perfectly
and
for
Fun
the
of
Miracle
Knives.
Rogue.
Yeah, this is so sick from his side.
This guy's toast.
And
Trump?
now Trump is looking at a next turn death here.
Well, if he gets a Soulfire, uses it for face, then Life Tap into Doomguard just wins at that point.
That is also true. But this is a 14 damage Van Cleef coming one way. And Trump needs two very specific cards in order to win here. Oh no, Flame is not one of them. Oh, and it looks like Hype is going to be able to take game 2 and jump out to a 2-0 lead.
Poor Trump. He played it really well, but he didn't get enough push, and Hype actually got the... This is why the Miracle Rogue is a miracle rogue. Miracles do happen. He was getting all those cards he needed, like preparation in the exact moment he needed, the second preparation, Fun of Knives, got the backstab, like the gadgets in turn was just amazing. Like it seemed like he's just losing the game, and then he got Conceal. He was able to conceal, and from the Conceal and Coin, he got the backstab, so he was able to limit the damage. And also got 3 points of damage into gadgets and Auctioneer. So I will have to say that Trump actually got unlucky, even though in general, Hype had an edge with regards to the matchup. Trump got unlucky and lost this deck and this game. And right now he's down to Priest. What do you think about that matchup?
Yeah, actually, no. Before we move on to Priest, you bring up a great point. Doomguard is one of the most important cards in the matchup against Rogue because it's sap resistant. They need very specific cards in combination, and they often lose a lot of health to it. So Trump not drawing his Doomguard was very unlucky. Now we go to Priest, another class that struggles on paper against Miracle Rogue because it's very passive. But you do have ways to deal with the Concealed Gadget Stand, at least. It's one of the few classes that do, with Arcanine, Soul Priest, and Circle of Healing. I'm looking at his list, and there's still ways to give Miracle Rogue a window of opportunity with like cards like Zombie Chow and very passive cards like Sylvanas and Cairn that can get sapped. So I feel like Trump is at a disadvantage, but it seems like he's very hesitant to throw Warrior into the mix, which makes it feel like Priest being better than Warrior to kill Miracle Rogue. Trump's in a bad spot. You rarely get an opportunity for Mind Control and Black Knight to ever do anything in this matchup. So
Well,
he's going to have some dead draws.
Maybe he will be able to mind control a 20 per 20 Edwin. You never know.
Sure, we've seen crazy things in the past.
It's interesting how Trump is the only person running Zombie Chow and a couple of decks. He really likes the card.
Yeah, it's good value on stats or on paper because the stats 2-3, and you do have synergy in the Priest deck. The Alkanized Soul Priest with Zombie Chow allows you to make it like a Mind Blast in a way. So there are ways for you to combo it to finish off your opponent, and Trump's played Priest pretty well in the past. Game number 3 is about to begin. Can Trump turn it around against Hyped, or will Hyped be able to continue the Miracle Rogue dominance all the way to the finals?
By the way, it's so funny on turn 5 you play Okanai Soul Priest with Zombie Chow and then Circle of Healing. Oh my god, what a start. He gets Gadgetzan, he gets Edwin Van Cleef, and he has a coin as well. Even Mulligan the Deadly Poison. But the preparation and backstab might be even better here. Trump has the 1-drops. Zombie Chow again, turn 1.
Oh, but Hyped has, yeah, he can put out that 4-4 Van Cleef and give Trump a really hard time. Trump's also got a really passive start other than the Northshire Cleric. Like after this, he's just kind of at the mercy of Thoughtsteal. He's drawn 2 of his heaviest cards in his deck, and so it's going to come to a very abrupt halt unless he picks up something important here.
Yeah, 4-4 Van Cleef on turn 2 is so annoying. What are you even going to do? Injured Blade Master is a pretty cool card to get.
Yeah, that's something.
And it's not something that you can backstab, by the way. That's a pretty good interaction.
Because he didn't weapon up, he can't just SI7 and be able to kill everything.
Interesting. I guess you have to backstab the 1-3 and kill it with a weapon. So attack into 2-3, then backstab the Northshire Cleric and no wait, you don't have to weapon it. You just play SA7. So backstab 1-3 SA7, kill the 2-3, or even like sure, attack into 1-3 because you get only 1 damage on Edwin, and backstab SA7 the Zombie Chow. There's a couple of decisions here.
Yeah, like all 3 attacks can be justified in a certain way because of the cards in your hand. You know, the Injured Blade Master represents the biggest threat because if he heals it, you don't have a way to kill it off the next turn guaranteed. Versus killing off the Northshire Cleric, it's an easy kill. Van Cleef stays healthy, and then the Zombie Chow, of course, gives you health back.
I think I actually like attacking into the Injured Blade Master and leaving Northshire Cleric as the only minion on board. Because then what is Priest going to do? He has a 1-3 against your 3-3. Yeah, this is the best full trade. But there are so many decisions still, and it was only turn 3. That's pretty interesting.
Deadly Poison is a pretty big whiff for Trump.
Unless
he thought steal something else.
Yeah, Deadly Poison is a dead card, and Trump is devastated.
Ugh. Oh no. The horror. That lack of value. You basically played 3 mana for Shadow Step.
Yeah.
Because the other thing about spells like Shield Slam is at least it's a spell, so if you have Pyromancer, you can trigger it as a Whirlwind. But Deadly Poison can't even activate unless you have a weapon up.
I must consider.
True.
Right away.
Well, you have to wait. There is no weapon that he can steal because Hyped is not playing Assassin's Blade.
That's
so
right.
This is a dead card. And Hyped is actually getting ahead with good trades and good minions. Trump in a bind. He gets another Injured Blade Master, which is cool because now he has a pretty cool turn 5 play. But other than that, he's in a weird spot. That Black Knight will have no value at all. Sylvanas is pretty nice. Okay.
Look at what Hyped has. He's got Conceal, Gadget Sand, and Preparation. Trump cannot draw. He has to draw Arcanite and Circle of Healing in the next 2 cards in order to deal with it. He is in a very bad position.
I have no time for games.
I certainly agree. It looks so bad. Sylvanas is important. But right now, Hyped can actually attack with everything he has and play Gadgets and Conceal. Conceal the whole board. And even play Preparation and do some other stuff. Or he can even... Wait, can he Shadow Step Lotheb? Doesn't even make sense.
Well,
I guess
I don't
not.
think you need to at the moment. If you're going to Conceal... Well, I guess you are afraid of a Circle of Healing and Arcanine.
I think it's like, instead of just playing Gadgets and Conceal, is there any value into... No, I guess just Gadgets and Conceal the board is just too good. Attack first. Just ignore those minions.
So many.
Yeah, he needs to Shadow or Death Sylvanas to steal something. And even then, he has to steal like his Lotheb or Gadget Sand.
And your
Trump's
board
hand is
will be
looking
concealed.
pretty poor for this.
11 points of damage. Oh my god.
Alright, Conceal's coming down. Hype's running out of time, but he's perfectly fine with how things have been progressing so far. He's going to Eviscerate as well, just to kind of continue to draw.
Actually killing the injured Blade Master with a Farseer and Eviscerate.
Fair enough.
Well, it's a tough call because I think he's just trying to avoid the possible taunt.
None survive.
Instead of just going 7 damage to face, he was thinking, hey, if he has a taunt, that injured Blade Master will be really a tough wall, and then I kill it so that if he uses Defender of Argus, I will be able to sap Sylvanas because I possibly get a sap at some point.
Okay, now, see, the Sludge Belcher is kind of a problem.
So many options.
Well, he wants to draw some cards, so I'd say attack into a Sludge Belcher with Lotheb.
You can draw cards with Azure Drake.
Gets
Oh,
a
he
sap.
picks up Sap.
Oh,
He
this
can
is
sap
sick.
Sylvanas.
And that's
Or he can sap the
7,
Sludge
12
Belcher.
points of damage. Yeah, sap the Sludge Belcher and go face.
I like sapping Sylvanas, so that way your board's not threatened.
That's also fine, yeah. You just continue to dominate the board. But it's, what, 9, 12 points of damage, so you put your opponent at 6, and he gets the Leroy.
But you know what? I mean, sapping either one makes sense here. You're pursing in for damage. You have Leroy Shadow Step. Hyped is so far ahead that it feels like it doesn't matter what he does. And Trump can only watch as he counts down the rope, but what can he even do in the following turns?
Are you thinking about Shadow Stepping Lotheb, maybe? No, it doesn't make any sense. Second Sludge Belcher for Trump, but it's not enough. It's not something he wanted. He would need to kill Lotheb and then steal, I guess, Gadgetzan. And play Sludge Belcher, and then he will have still 3 points of mana.
Yeah, he needs this to steal one of the 4/4s.
Gets the
Alright, so he
Gadgetzan.
takes Gadgetzan.
But still, he won't be able to use Gadgetzan that well, because he only has the Shadow Step.
No, Ragnaros.
This is a ballsy play.
Well, he's just going to go for it because there's no real consequence either way because his opponent's 2 damage off lethal, at least what he sees, but Hype's got him covered multiple times over, and he's going to jump out to a 3-0 lead. And you know, Trump, he had an opportunity to bring an extra deck just like Hyped, and he brought Shaman, which wasn't the best counter to Miracle Rogue. It seems like there's a gaping hole in his lineup overall, and now he's down to his last deck in order to fend for himself.
Well, I guess the best counter to Miracle Rogue is the Hunter, but Hunter got vetoed and banned, so it put Trump in a bind. Like, how do you even counter the Miracle Rogue if you don't have a Hunter?
Well, the hand lock's really good, obviously. It's still very powerful. If you bring something like Freeze Mage
Aggro
still
Druid.
is surprisingly very good. Aggro Druid,
as well.
yeah, is a way to be able to do it, like Strife Grows combo. But you know, I don't really know if bringing Shaman is the best chance to tackle against Miracle Rogue. But Trump was probably also scared of what his deck would be faced off against other monstrous decks like Handlock, for example, if he gets kind of like bad matchups. So Shaman would be a good way to plug that hole. As a result, this noticeable weakness has been haunting Trump, as now he has no way to stop Miracle Rogue from doing anything it wants. Warrior is also a very passive class early on, and Trump's playing a little greedy. You know, he's playing Sarah, Baron, Black Knight, and like Sylvanas and all in Karen, and he's cutting cards like Whirlwind and Cool Taskmaster.
Yeah, this is certainly not a situation you want to find yourself in. Not only right now you have a bad matchup versus this Miracle Rogue, you will have to win 4 more games. You will have to go 4-0 with this Warrior deck, where the deck is certainly greedy and poised to fight versus other control decks. So right now Trump is in a very difficult situation, and he will have to use all his preparation, all his skill to be able to 4-0 hype, where the odds are actually against him.
All right, well, game number 4 is about to begin. Trump needs to 4-0 right here if he wants to stay in the tournament. Otherwise, Hyped will advance to the grand finals to face off against Colento. And I think it's a cool story for those two guys, but Hype's not there just yet. Trump still has one last life. But what a hand to start us off. You know, he has Gadget Stand Auctioneer, the most important card in the deck, especially against a control slow deck like Warrior. And he's even got Preparation.
Do you think he's thinking about like mulliganing Backstab against Warrior? Backstab is not that useful. You would probably prefer to have a SI7 or Farseer.
But Backstab is important to have as the... because Backstab is your coin, essentially, when you go first, especially for Van Cleef or SI7, like you said. He's picking up cards that work really good with Backstab, too. Azure Drake is great. Shiv allows him to tackle like an important 3-health minion.
Yeah, it's a pretty good hand from Hype. And looking at Trump's hand, he has the early game as well. He has Unstable Ghoul, he has Acolyte of Pain, which will be important. He will be able to draw a couple of cards from Acolyte of Pain. He should be able to draw a couple of cards from it. So right now he don't, even though his deck is super greedy, he didn't get all those greedy cards like the big legendaries. He will draw them eventually, but right now he has cards that he is actually able to play and deal some damage. What's the game plan for Trump against Miracle Rogue? Are you racing, or are you just trying to armor up as much as possible and tackle the threats?
Though. Like, racing against Miracle Rogue requires you to have a little bit of pressure options, but you're not playing any 3 or 4 drops that can pressure, like Frothing Berserker or Korkrons. You're not playing, you're not playing Cruel Taskmaster, so that way you can buff your creatures to do a little more damage. By the way, I'm actually also surprised that Trump opted to play Unstable Ghoul this early, as he's probably trying to take advantage of pressure, but oftentimes Warriors also feeling like they want to armor up as much as possible against Miracle Rogue, so that way they can be safe from the burst ranges. As much as you put damage, the Unstable Ghoul is not much pressure at all.
Yeah, because Miracle Rogue has a finite amount of damage that they can deal. At some point, they just run out of cards. So if you keep armoring up and just answering the threats, there's a slight chance that they will actually run out of steam and won't be able to kill you. The other thing is, like, this slow Warrior is in such a disadvantage. Do you remember the times when the Miracle Rogue was the best deck? The Warrior actually changed. It was running Korkrons, it was running Azure Drakes. It was able to put a lot of pressure with those cards, especially to be able to race Miracle Rogue. Right now, with cards like Sludge Belcher and all the late game cards, you're pretty slow.
Yeah, I remember a couple weeks ago, Nimsh, don't worry.
Okay.
Lothar, by the way, is being held because Death's Bite doesn't want to, or he doesn't want Death's Bite to get full value and kill off his 5-health minion. And he's also waiting just a little bit longer so we can get more spells in combination with Gadget Zen. The quality of hand for Hype is so far superior to that of Trump. He's got 3 weapons, and he's got really passive cards that don't do much, like Faceless Manipulator and Black Knight. They're very reactive.
On the other hand, Hype doesn't have the Conceal yet. He might be able to draw into it, But you know, sometimes he is running only one conceal, and if conceal is the last card, he might be forced to play a different strategy. Just play the minions, try to deal as much damage with the mid-game minions he has. But well, Trump has a lot of stuff, and right now Trump is kind of racing.
That's true. The weapons are burn damage. You have what, 14 damage in weapons alone. So maybe if you can kind of push out a little bit more, you can force out a lot. But I think that's the only option course of action you have, especially if he picks up Gromosh in the next couple of turns. Maybe that's an opportunity for Trump to press for damage and win the game. Who knows?
That Baron, by the way, is pretty nice because right now he will be able to. Well, that's the question. What do you actually do? Do you kill Lothep here? Or do you play... You face this might be nice as well. You just get a 5/5 minion. You attack for free. You play Fire War Axe and attack for 3 more. So you put your opponent at 15 points of health. And you still have Death's Bite, which is 8 points. And you still have a Taunt. So you're in a position where you're developing your board. I think Baron is also a fine card.
All right, well, Hype's going to have to start doing something here. He's taking a lot of damage, and he's played this very slow as well. But he's got almost a full hand.
It is certainly a Gadgetzan turn. Even without a swipe, just want to get the value from the preparation and sap and just draw as many cards as possible.
Wonder if Trump also has the ability to set up Death Spike, so if he top decks Gromosh, he can just burst him down with the combos. Div ends up drawing 2 cards. Van Cleef, Hyped still looking for other ways to potentially end the game like Leroy. That is one very important card.
Yeah, thinking about possibilities right now. we have to... Well, the cards are changing so fast that we have to allow Hype to actually draw all those cards. But double Deadly Poison is something that's really scary. Is able to clear, and he will be able to push with damage with his Lotheb. Trump has a card that's actually able to remove Gadgetzan Auctioneer. Can attack into
he
it,
has
but
Death Spite, but then you're taking 4 damage right back.
yeah, the
You might have
miracle
to
turn
just
was
like Death Spite and shield block here.
that's certainly a play.
He
On the
draws
other hand,
Execute.
the other hand, I'm sure you're sad because you are so close to killing your opponent, and this Death's Bite is 8 points of damage, so you need only to deal 5 more.
But if he survives and he top decks Gromosh, and his opponent doesn't heal, that's actually game, and Hype is very well aware of that. But how much damage does he have? He's got Leroy, he's got Cold Blood, that's 10, 14, 19. And with Hero Power, that should be 20. I think Hype has it right here, and he is going to advance to the Grand Finals by a score of 4-0. And Trump will once again fall in the semifinals.
Oh my god, this is a sick match. I mean, Trump was disadvantaged, but for a moment, I had hope. He played really aggressively, and he had a chance to actually kill Hype, but then this Miracle turn, just again and again with Miracle Rogue, just draw so many cards. You have so many free cards, you just deny your opponent any chance of winning, and then push like a crazy amount of 20 points of damage almost from an empty board. This deck is just incredible, and yeah, as you said, it was really an error from the Trump side that he didn't have a good counter. He did have a chance to actually steal a win against this Miracle Rogue if Hype will have bad luck and didn't get an Auctioneer and maybe make mistakes, but Hype didn't make any mistakes, and Trump didn't really have a good counter to stop this deck. And here we see Miracle Rogue coming back, even though mostly control decks are being played right now. Miracle Rogue is still a very strong contender, especially in the hands of a player like Hyped, who played more than 1,000 games with this deck, more than 1,000 wins, and is consistently getting the first place on NA ladder with this specific deck.
All right, well, that does it for the semis. The finals will be Colenso versus Hyped. And I think this is a really cool story because you have Colenso, who is the ladder god from EU, and you have Hype, the ladder god from North America, and they will go toe-to-toe in the grand finals with the best of 7. Before we go to break, we want to remind you guys to enter for your chance to win the Zeus Mini. Check out the link at the bottom of the Twitch channel, or if you type giveaway into the chat and find out more information about VGVN. They've been involved in esports for a few years, and they're just trying to do their best to let you guys know and raise awareness about unfair legislation pegged at video games in the United States and fighting in the Supreme Court. You can find out more information. Signing up takes less than a minute, and then you are eligible to win this cyber-powered PC. We'll take a quick few minutes to get ready for the last series of the day, Clento versus Hyped, when we return to the VGVN Next Finals Elite Tournament number 2.